Hello everyone, I'm back with This Week in Keyboard to show where I cover news segments from the community, from keyboards to switches, interest checks, group buys, and more. I'm happy to be back, and I hope you all find this show somewhat useful. I'm always open to feedback, so if you have any feedback at all, feel free to leave a comment below, or feel free to message me on Reddit. Now that the show is back, let's get on with the news. Starting last week, there was another surge of analog keyboard news. Tom's Hardware has reported that we're going to be seeing at least 2 new analog boards, the Roccat ISQ Plus Force FX and the AimPad R5 keyboard. For those who aren't familiar with analog keyboards are a bit different than the traditional mechanical keyboard. They contain analog switches, which, unlike mechanical switches, which only register whether or not the switch has been activated or not, analog switches can measure the distance that the switch has been actuated. Roccat's keyboard will only feature analog switches on the Q, W, E, A, S, and D keys, while it looks like the AimPad R5 will allow for more keys to have those analog switches. There's definitely been a lot more news and discussion about analog keyboards ever since Wooting Keyboards has had their Kickstarter and got 4 times their original funding goal. Personally, I have my doubts about how useful analog keyboards could really be in gaming, as opposed to just switching over to a controller, but it'll be interesting to see how these switches are and how these keyboards are once they've hit the markets. Next up in the news is JTK Sophomore sets have finally started shipping and extras may be available. People have been waiting, and I'm sure people are quite happy that it's finally shipping out. I've seen some pretty cool pictures of these key sets, and I'm excited to see more pictures to see what keyboards people decide to pair their key sets with. There's some decent double-shot ABS keycaps for the money that have cherry profile. For example, I still have my Watt on Black set, and it's such a nice, simple set that works on basically anything, and it's a great price, and a lot of people love double-shot ABS that's good quality, and more importantly, at least for me, I love that feel of cherry profile. Now moving on to cherries, cherries. At CES, they've announced that they're working on their own silent keyboard with their new Cherry silent switches, which are no longer under Corsair exclusivity. These are their silent red and silent black switches, which are linear. The new keyboard they're working on is going to be an updated version of their classic G83000 keyboard. So it can't look worse than the monstrosity that they call the Cherry 6.0. These Cherry switches are also now being sold on mechanicalkeyboards.com, which you can pick up for a decent price depending on how many or how few you want to buy. Next on the news bulletin is that Keycap has announced that they are dropping cable making for the time being. After more posts about unfortunate shoddy Philco cables and poor service for certain customers, J-Chan has announced he'll be dropping cables for the time being. It's a hard decision, considering cable making is what gave Keyclack its start. But since its start, Keyclack has branched out to do various group buys, like GMK Hydro and other key sets. And speaking of Keyclack group buys and key sets, the group buy for their MCRebirth set will be ending this weekend. So if you're looking for a cherry profile dye sublimated PBT set, this might be the set for you. The prices are pretty good and the sample picks look pretty nice. You should go check it out if you're a big fan of cherry profile like I am, but you're also even bigger fan of a nice PBT sets. So what's else happening this weekend? The group buy for GMK Terminal will be beginning. GMK Terminal is brought to us by the folks at the Key Company. The first renders I saw of this set looked particularly meh, but now the updated renders that they've posted a few weeks back look way better, and I'm definitely interested in this set, to be honest. I think this set has been hyped a decent amount, and I expect it to meet MOQ pretty heftily and pretty easily. Check it out. I think it'll be pretty hype. It looks pretty good. Now, moving up to the north of Syrup, Mounties, and 23 years of no Stanley Cups, Mechkeys.ca is introducing the Mech Mini, which is their own 40% keyboard that has RGB LED underglow. Personally, for me, the keyboard won't work for me since I enjoy having at least 12 keys on the home row. I think a lot of people will be a fan of the RGB underglow and the simple aesthetics. Mechkeys.ca, also known for their failed group buy for the DSA 1983 set, decided to revive the set and bring it back in GMK form. And so far it has a decent amount of compatibility, but I think it's missing out. I think it'll be easy if they stuck with the same compatibility sets that you can find in GMK Carbon or GMK Honeywell. The extra keys may end up adding costs, but I think it's worth it for a good amount of people. Then again, I have seen GMK sets that only have 104 keys, which is a standard keyboard plus numpad. Good luck to them. as we move around, what's better to move around in but a minivan? Evan GS, or Evangs you may know him as, has released the Minivan Configurator, which allows you to easily reprogram your minivan's layout with a GUI. He has even been kind enough to record a video demo to demonstrate the configurator. A lot of people have ordered the minivan, so I figure a lot of people are going to have a lot of uses for this configurator. So, especially if you've ordered a minivan, check it out. It will be an easy way for you to reprogram your minivan to whatever layout you desire. Now, moving on next, a new name in the game, Goose Keyboards, has teased that they're going to soon be selling 60% brass plates. No other information is really out at the moment, but judging by the teaser pics, it'll be switch top removable, split backspace compatible, short right shift compatible, and keyless bottom row compatible. The only thing I don't see on the picture at the moment is a stepped capstock choice, but I'm sure it's something that can very easily include and will include, considering the fact they've already included all these compatibilities. I'm really excited. I've never typed on a brass plate before, but I'm really looking forward to it. So, Goose Keyboards, I'm gonna be looking out, and if you guys want to send me a brass plate, that'd be awesome. Moving on to more group buys, more of this and that. Next is a Watster Keycap group buy that has just met MOQ. It's currently being run by Krelbit and Techie of Mechkeys.io, and it's kind of an homage to the Sadster and Hapster keycaps. ABS DCS Row 1 by Signature Plastic. It's a cheap novelty, and it's, like I said, it's extremely cheap. It's like 50 cents or around that, or even less. So if you're interested in something small, check it out. It's cute. But let's shift back to this weekend. What else is happening this weekend? Exciting times are happening this weekend. There's going to be a Seattle meetup run by my top Clack co-host Quakemz, as well as my own SoCal Mini-meetup. Check out the links if you're interested and in the area, and we hope you can make it. We hope to see you guys at our respective meetups. Speaking of meetups, myself, Quakemz, he'll be attending the Northern California Mechanical Keyboard Meetup later this month, which is going to be on January 21st. Feel free to check out the link in the description. I hope you guys will be able to make it. If you guys are anywhere in the Bay Area, it's going to be at JTK Keyboards, who are headquartered in Fremont, just the east side of the Bay. Earlier this week, Quakemz reviewed the Z70 on Mass-Drop, which is a 65% keyboard with a split spacebar. You should check out the review yourself. He did a really good job with this review, and it's pretty in-depth. The TLDR is, it's a decently interesting keyboard at a decent price. It may not be everybody's cup of tea, but I think it's interesting enough for most people to decide to take a look at it. Personally, I don't care for it. For my 65% keyboard, I have my Red Scarf 68 with my Mod H switches, and that's not going to be replaced anytime soon, I don't think, mostly because I have those, uber rare gray-colored Mod H switches. So, to end this episode, let's do a lightning round of upcoming interest checks. Kabuto SA, it's pretty cool, I guess. Definitely seems inspired by JIS High Pro Topper keyboards. Creator says it's currently modeled for Signature Plastics' new PBT SA keycaps, but last I've heard from Signature Plastics, they've said they're not currently open to receiving requests for custom PBT SA sets, so who knows where the set will go or when it'll actually ever run. If it's something that interests you, you should definitely keep that in mind, and hopefully it'll get somewhere. Moving on next, Green KitKat SA, a beloved and delicious snack in keycap form. Unfortunately, to me, it doesn't look that unique at all. It looks kind of bland. It's still early interest checks, and I hope they make progress with it. A thing that a lot of people don't realize is for every group buy they see for GMK, SA, DSA, there's probably at least a half dozen sets that are in interest check right now or have been and won't make it for one or another reason. That's why I usually like to cover this really fast, because statistically, most of these I cover probably won't make it. Moving on, DSA Seafoam. Very much on the muted side of colors and looks, which appeals to a decent amount of people. I do like me some Seafoam green, but the colors in the render look lifeless. Just not hitting the right notes for me yet. Moving on, my last one for this week I want to cover is GMK Solarized Dark, which is a very beloved color scheme with a dark motif. I'm a fan of this one. It's designed by Thesis Camper, which you all may know for doing a lot of different renders for different group buys and interest checks all around the world. He said the set isn't going to be available soon, and I wonder how much it will change between the renders and the final design. I definitely think it's on the right track, though, and it's something I'll definitely be paying attention to as time goes by. And fortunately for all of us, it's not going to be coming soon, so we can spend our money on all these other GMK sets that are going to come before it. And that's all for this week in keyboards. Thank you everyone so much for joining me. If you ever have any suggestions or critique or just any words to say, feel free to leave it in the comments below and I will always go by and read them. Thank you so much for joining me and I hope to see everyone next week.